Welcome to The Explainer. We're embarking on a journey today through what is, without a doubt, the most radical shift in the history of software engineering. We are talking about a total top to bottom rewiring of how software gets built, who or, well, what builds it, and what it actually means to call yourself a developer today. And when you look at the aggregated data across the tech landscape, the reality is moving so much faster than the hype. Okay, let's dive into this. Right now, as we speak, a staggering 46% of all code written by active developers is generated by AI. Nearly half. Think about that. Half of the digital infrastructure we are building right now is coming straight from large language models. And we aren't talking about, quirky experimental throwaway scripts. We're talking about the actual production-ready code that's running your banking apps, your healthcare portals, your social media feeds, the whole shebang. And the speed of this boom, it is completely intoxicating. In controlled studies, we're seeing development cycle times getting absolutely slashed. We're talking pull request times dropping from 9.6 days down to just 2.4 days. That's a massive 75% reduction in the time it takes to get an idea from a developer's brain into a working state. It's literally like flipping a switch. Section 1. The AI coding explosion. So, we have officially moved way beyond simple autocomplete. We are now in the era of autonomous agents that can understand entire code bases and plan out complex multi-file changes. Just listen to these numbers for a second because the sheer volume of output is unprecedented. We're seeing 43.2 million monthly pull requests on GitHub and a billion annual commits pushed. But it's not just the volume, right? It's the capability. Take the Latin American fintech company Nubank, for example. They used AI agents to complete an 8-year-old, multi-million-line legacy migration in literally a matter of weeks. 8 years of work, done in weeks. Meanwhile, models like Claude Code are holding their coherence through complex workflows that last over 30 hours. The barrier between having an idea and having working software has completely collapsed. It sounds like a pure productivity utopia, right? Well, here is where we kind of have to pull the rug out a little bit. What actually happens when code starts writing itself at this blinding speed? Because beneath the surface of all this incredible output lies a hidden, highly dangerous reality that we really need to unpack. Section 2, broken by default. Now, to be absolutely clear here, we are objectively analyzing the data. We're not taking sides on any specific tool or company. We're simply looking at the empirical research. A recent formal verification study by Cobalt AI looked at 3,500 code artifacts generated by widely deployed LLMs using security-critical prompts. And the results? They are alarming, to say the least. 55.8% of those AI-generated code artifacts contained formally proven exploitable vulnerabilities. Let that sink in. Over half. And we aren't talking about, potential flaws based on some pattern-matching guesswork. These are mathematically proven vulnerabilities using the Z3 SMT solver, fully confirmed with real memory corruption crashes. When you grade the models based on these vulnerability rates, the massive scope of the problem really comes into focus. GPT-4o leads the pack with a 62.4% vulnerability rate, earning it a solid F. Llama 33070B and Gemini 2.5 Flash, they both scrape by with Ds. The absolutely crucial point here is that simply scaling up these models isn't magically fixing the fundamental security issue. By default, these systems are churning out security-deficient code. And honestly, it gets even more counterintuitive when we look at vibe coding. The practice of just asking the AI to iteratively refine its own output. Research shows that if you ask a model to improve a piece of code across 5 iterative rounds, it actually results in a 37.6% increase in critical vulnerabilities. No way, right? But it's true. The very feedback loop developers are relying on to fix their code is quietly making the security so much worse. Section 3. The verification bottleneck. Think back to the human-paced era. You had maybe 50-line pull requests. Human reviewers could take a deep dive, really understand the logic, and catch the bugs. The volume was manageable. But today, in this AI-paced era, PRs are ballooning to 500 lines or more, human reviewers are getting severely fatigued, they start skimming, and the sheer raw volume of code creation is completely outpacing our human capacity to verify it. The bottleneck hasn't disappeared, it's just fundamentally moved from code creation over to code verification. In fact, according to a report by Harness and CIO Dive, 81% of engineering leaders say that the time they initially saved on coding is now entirely spent just reviewing and auditing the AI's output. You haven't eliminated the work at all. You've just shifted it into this massive looming auditing burden. And here's the kicker. You can't just rely on your old automated scanners to save you anymore. That Cobalt AI study revealed that 97.8% of the formerly proven vulnerabilities in AI code are completely invisible to standard industry static analysis tools. Why is that? Well, because AI code usually compiles perfectly cleanly and passes basic functional tests. It looks right, it acts right on the surface, but underneath it contains deep structural security flaws, like really complex integer overflows that standard pattern matching tools literally just cannot see. So what do? How do you actually survive this? Well, here is what disciplined elite engineering teams are doing right now to adapt. First, they're implementing automated quality gates as hard blocks before merging code. Second, they're using tiered code reviews. So a low-risk internal tool gets automated checks, sure, but a high-risk payment gateway, that gets a mandatory deep human review. Crucially, they are also insisting on human-authored test specifications. The humans define the what, breaking that endless cycle of the AI just confirming its own bugs. And finally, they are shifting QA involvement all the way left, right into the requirements phase. Section 4. Evolving the software engineer. You can really see how the core value proposition of a developer is shifting. The old way, writing boilerplate code, memorizing syntax, hunting down missing semicolons, the value of that is absolutely plummeting. The new way is all about system architecture, validating that the software's behavior actually matches the business intent and effectively managing the output of these AI models. The line between a traditional developer and a software architect, it's completely blurring. Now, what's really interesting is this concept of the BDLLM architecture. That stands for Belief, Desire, Intention, coupled with a large language model. What this essentially outlines is a schematic for self-evolving software agents. We are rapidly moving toward a world where an automated evolution module operates right alongside the agent's core reasoning loop. The system monitors its own experience, identifies its unmet needs, and then autonomously synthesizes its own design and code updates to adapt. It's almost like a living organism. But to manage a sheer scale of these self-evolving systems, we're going to have to rely on an AI mesh oversight ecosystem. Picture this. You'll have AI agents writing the code, adversarial AI agents trying their best to break and test that code, and redundant AI monitoring systems constantly watching for behavioral drift. And sitting above all of this complex machinery is the human, not acting as a typist anymore, but as the ultimate supervisor orchestrating the entire mesh. Section 5. The Intent Architect. This brings us to the intent architect. This is a developer who defines the goals, the constraints, and the safe operating envelopes for software systems, officially shifting from manual code construction to AI choreography. Humans are migrating upstream, my friends. We are no longer wrestling with the machine to implement the how. Instead, we get to design the operating envelope and define the what, while the AI does the heavy lifting to figure out the how. And please understand this. The creativity of software engineering hasn't died. Not at all. It has simply relocated. The skill set of the intent architect is incredibly creative and involves advanced prompt engineering and knowing exactly how to delegate complex tasks. It requires a really deep understanding of system architecture and design. You need the ability to rapidly comprehend and audit generated code. But above all, it requires governance, ensuring that the systems we unleash align with human goals, business intent, and strictly defined operational boundaries. The future of software isn't less human, it's actually more human, because we are finally free to focus on vision, values, and intent. But getting there, that demands a massive shift in how we work, how we think, and how we test. So I'll leave you with this final thought. AI is writing the code. The real question is, are you ready to govern it?